Hello and welcome to Chaturday Live with me, your host Jay Robinson, and today's guest, Caroline Pett. Hello.
Hello.
How
Actually, in person.
in person, live from the garden.
Yeah, I'm like real and in 3D.
Oh, well, today's one is a special show because we are going to be interviewing each other and talking to each other about habits and addictions, what they mean, what they are, and hopefully we'll answer some of your questions if you have some as well. So feel free to chirp up, chirp in, and chime in, as they say, and we'll answer. So, first off, how are we?
Very good. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks very much. Um, your interview space is now, I say your interview space, your client space is now open to see people again. How's that been?
Yeah, it's so fantastic to have people back in the room again. Um, it's great being able to talk to people
Yeah.
online, and of course still be able to support them and help them online. But actually being back in the room with people is just wonderful. Doesn't really make any difference to how you can help them, but just having that space is often amazing.
Yeah.
Obviously there's that thing when you're talking at home, you may not have a private space where you can feel that you can talk properly, or you may feel like you're going to be overheard. So some people love having the comfort of being at home, but some people really love coming out and being away from their home environment and just feeling like they can talk freely. So it's
Well,
lovely to be back.
I'm glad. I'm glad that people have the ability to see people in person because we have been locked in, as we've said, for so long, and it's been difficult for people's mental health. The reason why we're
Oh
here
yeah.
doing the show, so it's obviously good. But what we're going to do talk about is something that you personally deal with, with clients or have spoken about in your vlogs and blogs and stuff like that that
Yeah.
you've done. So bear with me 2 seconds. I'm just going to make a quick edit. I'm here. I'm still here. I'm taking my mic, so I'm not going anywhere. So what we're talking about is addiction and habits,
Yeah.
and what the difference is. I don't know, can we say that, what the difference is between the two, because they kind of go hand in hand and sometimes can be mistaken for a little bit of innocence. Um so in your own words, what would you say a habit is?
Yeah, it is a bit of a tricky one, and it's certainly not clear cut definitions. One is one thing and one is the other. So habits are things that you do repeatedly. So positive or negative things that you do consistently and repeatedly in response to a certain stimulus, whether that be a time of the day or a situation. That is your go-to response. That's a habit.
Okay.
Um, an addiction is slightly different in the sense that it's got a compulsive component to it. So you can't help yourself doing it.
Okay.
So probably the difference with a habit is it's helpful, usually can be unhelpful, but if you said this situation is not right for that, you just wouldn't do it.
Okay.
Whereas the addiction, you can't stop yourself from doing it.
So when people talk about habits and addiction, we've been led to believe that everything is a negative. So an addiction is a negative, and if somebody goes, "I'm addicted to something," it could be really a negative thing. Now, I know people that go, "Oh, I'm addicted to running. I'm addicted to exercise." That necessarily doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. People
No.
go, "Well, I'm addicted to running," or "I'm addicted to," or "I'm just addicted to watching Peaky Blinders." Other TV series are available, but it's a phrase.
Yeah.
So we have to take the phrase and its actual meaning and dissect it a little bit. So yeah, if we don't mind talking, we'll dive right in at the bad points and then work our
Yeah.
way to the good points. So in addiction, okay, people would say that an addiction to alcohol. What makes somebody addicted to alcohol? Because I'm drinking water at the moment, staying hydrated in this lovely Cumbrian weather. But if I went down to the pub, um, on a Friday and Saturday night after work, and enjoy my weekend with the lads, that doesn't make me an addict, does it?
No, that doesn't make you an addict. But also, that being the only time you drink doesn't necessarily not make you an addict.
Okay.
So it can be quite difficult because being you have a picture of what you think an addict looks like, right?
Yes, yeah,
They get up, they drink in the morning, they drink all day, they just drink bottles and bottles of spirits,
yeah.
um, and that's how you think an addict looks, but that's not necessarily the case.
Okay,
Um, so an addict maybe only has 2 glasses of wine a night,
okay,
and they could be an addict in the sense that that is a compulsive need that they need to have that 2 glasses of wine a night.
right,
And if it causes you a problem, then it's an addiction that you need to deal with.
right,
However, if you usually have 2 glasses of wine a night, but you could take it or leave it. Some nights you have it, some nights you don't. It just depends. If you've got some friends around,
hmm,
then you're probably not addicted.
okay. So, like you say, you've got this stigma in your head when you think, oh, an alcoholic or somebody who's addicted to alcohol is that one person that's curled up in a ball, like very skinny, very, looks like the world like has left their body. But that's not necessarily, like you say, a picture of an addicted person on alcohol or anything like that. Somebody
No,
can have a simply, literally running through their life quite easily and not realize that they're dependent on something.
yeah.
um
I think that's you hit the nail on the head there. It's being dependent on it.
mm,
That's the perfect word.
so it is dependent. So okay, so we've got the alcohol side. So from you, if you've dealt with people that have had addictions and stuff like that,
Yeah.
what would you say to somebody who say, oh, I think I might? Obviously you've said, well, let's narrow it down. Is it how much are you doing this, and are you dependent or are you not dependent on it? Can you thrive, can you not thrive? So if I was like, I think I am probably a little bit addicted, I need to come home and I need to have X amount of alcohol and I need to,
Yeah.
I get home from work at 5 o'clock. The first thing I do is go in the fridge and rather than make dinner, I'm pouring myself a glass of wine.
If you
Ye-
need to pour yourself a glass of wine,
Mm,
or you feel that you need to pour yourself a glass of wine in order to get through the rest of the evening,
yeah.
then you've got a problem.
Okay. And I'm not saying that there's a magic wand to a solution, but what's advice, or how would we approach it to maybe weaning ourselves off the addiction?
Yeah, I mean, especially with alcohol. So, alcohol withdrawal is the only withdrawal from anything that you can actually die from.
Right.
So, you're not going to die withdrawing from heroin or cocaine, but you can die withdrawing from alcohol if you drink a large amount of it.
Right.
So, it's something you do need to be careful about and you do need to work through with the GP. But yeah, either weaning off it and coming down slowly.
Mm-hmm.
And some people would drop to, I'm just going to drink a couple of times a week, and that might be fine for them. That might be enough to break the dependency.
Mm-hmm.
Just go, I was just a bit stuck in the rut with it. It was just, I've broken that now, and actually I'm okay. I can have one every now and then. And some people may never be able to drink again.
Right. Okay.
So for some people, complete abstinence from alcohol is the only way to get around it.
Okay.
Because if they have one, that will be it,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll just keep going. So
Yeah.
it's really personal thing.
Yeah. So there's, I didn't know. I genuinely didn't know that, like you say, coming off alcohol like cold turkey is something that you could die from. Like
Yeah,
you say,
it's
because
it
it,
can cause seizures and things like that. So it can be quite scary. It usually doesn't. Most people are absolutely fine.
yeah.
But it is something that needs to be done with care. If you
Uh,
if you're having 2 glasses of wine a night, look, just need to stop drinking them.
mm,
If you're having a bottle of vodka a night, you might need some support with that.
right. Okay. So there's a level of it. So if
There's a
somebody,
level of
so
it.
if somebody happens to be watching the show tonight and go, oh well, I like a cheeky like shot of whiskey before I go to bed to help myself sleep every single night. Is that going to really affect me? Yay or nay? Obviously, still speak to a doctor if you feel it's an addiction, but it's not a bottle. It's a shot of whiskey, which a lot of people have done in the past just to knock themselves out. Just go, oh,
Yeah,
I just want to calm myself down. I'll have a little tipple, as they call it, or
yeah.
whatever. Um,
I mean, the question isn't so much are you addicted or are you not addicted. The
mm,
question is it causing you a problem?
right, yeah,
Especially when it comes to alcohol. So if having a little shot of whiskey before you go to sleep just helps you sleep and otherwise doesn't cause you any problems in your relationship, financially, with your work, with your health, um, if there's no problem, there is no problem.
Okay.
But if there is a problem, then it's something that you need to look at and deal with.
All right, bear with me 2 seconds. Not sure if we've frozen up over there. If you can still hear us or see us, please put something in the comments. We're just making sure that we are still here because I know we're frozen.
We're frozen on
We're
that
frozen
one.
on the computer, and we're frozen over here as well. So we may have to do a quick dive.
Who knows?
Who knows? Bear with us 2 seconds. We make these things up as we go along. That's why it's fun.
Because you were changing the camera 2 seconds.
I was changing the
before
camera too
stream.
much. That's on me. Right, bear with me 2 seconds.
Let's see. Is it live? Is it not live?
Now we should be.
I'm not sure.
Okay, hang on.
Oh yeah, I think we are right. Yeah, I think we're okay.
Are we okay? I'm just making video's frozen, but can hear you. Thanks, Becky. Right. Hang on 2 seconds. Add. Two. Right. We think we have solved the problem. Fingers crossed. This is why we love a live show.
Not me.
No, I love it because it really, it really is so a live show. So now I've turned the volume up on the microphone. The picture's there. Becky's going to say, I can hear you loud and clear now at some point, fingers crossed. That's what we're hoping for.
She's probably just going, do you know what? I've heard enough of her.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go. She gets to listen to me chat shit all the time.
All right, anyway, we'll carry on because I believe that we're there. We're going to say that we are there. We can hear you. Thank you very much, Vanessa. I love how bad it is. Thank you very much. Right, so we're on iPad mode now. So we're going to move that around. Hopefully we're staying.
You should see the setup that there is. There's like a laptop and a fancy camera, and now we're talking to an iPad.
And yet we've gone to an iPad. Anyway, so back to addictions. Hopefully they heard what we were saying, obviously, about the alcohol dependency. Obviously, go and see your GP if you feel like there's issues or something that you need to have to go through. And like you say, there's positives addictions and negative addictions. As I said before, positive addictions. If somebody says, "Oh, do you know, I am just genuinely addicted to doing sports. I love getting out, seeing my friends," and again, like you said, that only becomes an addiction if you wake up one day and go, I ain't really feeling it today, it's chucking it down and I haven't got to go. It's not an addiction.
Yeah.
But if you go, I don't care whether it's raining, snowing, if I don't put my 10k in today, I'm not going to feel right.
Yeah.
That becomes an addiction, yes?
That becomes an addiction. If, for example, it's your wedding day, and you're going for a run over getting ready for your wedding, and your wife's going to be absolutely livid, then that's an addiction.
Okay. Well, we have no issue with that because I will not be going running at anytime soon, so my wife will be fine.
I'm not much of a runner either.
So, okay then. So habits.
Yeah.
Good habits, bad habits. People can have habits again. We say that a habit is referred to something that we do, and people go, oh, you've got to break out of the habit. But that's not necessarily always the case.
No, you'll have loads of really good habits. Like when you get in the car, you don't have to think about putting your seatbelt on. It's a habit that you do it.
Yeah.
When you're getting ready for bed, you don't have to think about going to brush your teeth. It's a habit. So we instill lots of habits throughout our lives, and most of them are really good habits.
Yeah.
But there are some that trip us up.
So me going, oh, I need to go and get my coffee in the morning before I go to work. That's a habit.
That's a habit.
But if
Or
I'm
it
late,
could be an addiction if you
it could be an
need
addiction. But if I'm late one day and I don't get my coffee and I still manage to go to work and make a coffee,
then you're probably all right.
I'm all right. But then am I replacing the addiction because I need my coffee? It's not. Is it where I get it from? Is it the coffee? At some point, I need that coffee because people can get addicted to caffeine.
Oh yeah.
And I've said this many times to the guys I work with now. They're younger guys than me, and they're sitting there and they're drinking cans of Monster, Red Bull, energy drinks. All the major brand names. They're spending a lot of money on it as well because they're not cheap.
They're not cheap.
And I say to them, I say, how many do you go through a day? He goes, oh, maybe 4, 5. And I said, you should really only have one a day, and that's at a push. Really, you shouldn't have it on a daily basis. So please read into what you're drinking or what you're doing. And they didn't think of it, and now
there's a reason that they've banned selling that stuff to children.
Yeah. Well, like you say, Vanessa just said there, like, I'm addicted to caffeine. How do you take that caffeine, Vanessa? Is it in soft drink, or is it literally, is it like a soft drink caffeine? Or
Well, I can tell you because Vanessa's a friend of mine. Vanessa drinks copious amounts of coffee.
What? It's just like black coffee, white coffee, espresso, cappuccino, latte. If there's a coffee shop nearby, I'm having a coffee. Do you know what? Again, that's like me. I go, am I addicted to caffeine, or am I addicted to the British way of liking a good cup of tea? Because on a night time, I will sit there and go, the wife will say, should I put the kettle on? I go,
oh yeah.
Have a cup of tea. Have a good cup of tea. I love a good cup of tea. It's decaf after a certain time. Big cup of coffee, at least 10 a day. Vanessa, tell me you've taken Vanessa to the side and gone, well, Right, Vanessa, I'm not condoning what you're doing, but make sure you're getting them from McDonald's and at least getting the stickers to get a free one if you're doing that sort of stuff. Make it worth the money. But yeah, like you say, it's a very people go, oh, what do you have? And I go, I sit down, I have a lovely cup of tea, and I always have a chocolate biscuit. Always have a chocolate biscuit. It's in the phrase. Always have a chocolate biscuit, or always have a bourbon or something or other.
Yeah.
Their habits are their addictions. Because again, if you can go away on holiday and go to Spain and you go, well, I've replaced my caffeine at 5:30 before I tuck up with a blanket over my legs for a gin and tonic in the sun. You're not. It's you're breaking it because it's not necessary in your life. Okay.
But then there are situations where you have to use the thing that you're addicted to.
Yeah, so I'm using my phone here for a reason, as to make a statement. Right, so we have on smartphones now, this is what I'm going to show you. This is an addiction as well, whether you do or don't notice it. So here, look, I don't know if you can see that on the funky cat. Oh, it does come up. So this is called screen time on my Apple product, which tells me that daily average 3 hours and 51 minutes, which is down 14% from last week. I'm cutting it out. I'm doing well.
Well done.
It's because of my job now, because I just don't have time to look at my phone. I'm not on it. And then what I do is I binge up in the evening for a good hour and a half of just catching up.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you have your phone available, and when you're not watching us, obviously, intently, what do you know of like a recommended, screen time on anything? Or, again, what becomes an addiction or a habit? I mean, do you have to, when you first thing in the morning, do you wake up and you go, oh, gotta check social media?
Yeah. Then
I've got to see what I've done over the last 8 hours that I've been asleep. Has anything gone on? Or do you go, my phone stays on charge, I go downstairs, have my breakfast, my cup of tea, maybe flick the news on, if that's what you're going to do, but you're not looking at your phone. If you can leave the phone and the social media and the iPads away, then you're breaking a cycle. Because obviously, as we said just before we came online, these companies want you to be on their devices 24/7, because that's,
that's how they get money.
Yeah, and as an Apple product, this is deliberately going to die 19 months into my 24-month contract, because then I have this panic that I've got to upgrade very soon.
You've only got a 24-month contract. You've done well.
No, I'm with Sky Mobile. It's 30 months. but the idea is, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I turn my alarm off, and then I don't look at my phone for social media. I go downstairs, put the kettle on, which is my routine, which is a habit, or whatever you do.
Yeah.
And get me breakfast cereal out, go sit at the breakfast table, I don't put the TV on. But I will then have a quick look at my phone and see and catch up what's going on in the news, what's happened over the evening. So it's a habit.
Yeah.
But if I was to go camping this weekend and I lost power and couldn't charge my phone, I'd probably be a little bit wary and nervous because obviously you've lost a bit of a routine.
Yeah.
But I would survive.
Yeah.
I wouldn't need to call an ambulance to say that I'm not going to make it through the day. Although my wife would probably disagree. But I could enjoy myself out. You know, if my phone dies, I can enjoy myself out. So this is the point. We've got to figure out what habits and addictions are labelled as bad and good or compromised. You know.
Yeah.
Again, you know, what's a habit? You go, right, well, every time I go out, I wake up in the morning, I put my watch on. You know, if you don't wear it through the night,
Yeah,
that's a habit. It's not an addiction, I wouldn't say.
No, you're not addicted to putting your watch on.
No, but that's a habit.
That's a habit.
Isn't it? You know? Or I put my shoes on before I go out of the house. I remember to do that.
Yeah, because that's a habit.
It's a habit, you know. It's although it's repetitive and it's something you do, and if you don't do it, you're going to feel stupid for not doing it. You know, like putting your socks and shoes on before you go out the door. But then an addiction. You go, right, now what's an addiction? Now, if I have to have mints, if I have to eat mints all day because I've stopped smoking or something stupid like that,
Yeah.
you go, I've stopped smoking, I've stopped my addiction.
But now you're addicted to mints.
But now you're addicted to something else. So you have to be aware of what you're replacing an addiction with.
You do. And do you know what? What is the lesser evil? So mints are probably going to physically and financially and relationship-wise do you less harm than cigarettes.
Mm.
So it's worth the swap. But at some point, you want to look at why you need that thing.
I think I haven't had a cigarette now in over 2 years or so. Since my son came along, I gave up smoking and I went onto the vaping for what it was intended for. I went on it for 2 to 3 months and then gave that up. It was to help me get off cigarettes.
Yeah.
And then went on. And then I'm not chewing gum all day. I'm not mints. I've just gone cold turkey off the vape and just been all right, you know. But as they say, you know, when you go out on a nice summer day and you're sitting and you're going, oh, I'm going to have my glass of cider and you used to have a cigarette. Do you miss it? Yes, I miss it, but I don't have the urge anymore. I don't have that urge, which a lot of people do. So that's why they replace that urge with, like you say, having a mint or eating or doing something that's, you know. So how do we, you know, would any advice or anything on that, you know, how to break a cycle, you know?
It really does depend. So with cigarettes, for example, there is a train of thought that you're not addicted so much to the smoking, but that is the only time when you actually breathe correctly.
Right.
For a lot of people, it's the only time they get breath all the way down into their bodies when they're breathing through a cigarette. So sometimes just doing that breathing can help if it's smoking addiction. If it's with your phone, it is a case of just bloody put it away, man. Take it out of the running and just be okay with being uncomfortable about it for a while. It's not going to kill you. But what you also have to be aware of is there's some things that you can just say, right, well, abstinence, I'm just going to give it up completely. There's some things you can't, like some things you need. So you can't just... So your phone, for example, you could argue is something that we need now. So we need it to communicate. It would be quite difficult to get around never using your smartphone. There would be ways you could do it. So you could say, right, well, I'm just not going to use the internet other than on my laptop. I'm going to go back to 2000 and get a Motorola flip phone. And you could do it that way. But with things like smoking, phones is a dopamine addiction. So every time you pick up your phone, there's a notification. You get a hit of dopamine. So it is a chemical addiction, even though you're not taking the chemical in.
Okay, well, here's one that just popped in my head. People shopping online. People are obsessed, like you say, with Amazon, eBay, and other like selling sites and stuff like that. They go, I don't know what it is on the night time. I just sit there and sometimes I don't even know what's coming in the box. Because I've clicked and bought something. So that's an addiction in some way, shape, a shopping an addiction.
So that's the dopamine again. So you get the dopamine is chemical that's released for the expectation of pleasure.
Okay.
So the buying of the product, the click and the buy now, that's the bit that's addictive. And probably by the time it turns up, well, that bit might be exciting. By the time you've got it out of the box, like the novelty is gone, the dopamine's gone, you're not interested, you're never going to read it. That book that's arrived, it's always a book for me, that book that's arrived, you're not going to read. It's just going to join the shelf of the 600 other books you're not going to read. It's a dopamine addiction. The same way with checking your notifications, gambling, same sort of addiction. With gambling addictions, it isn't even the winning. It's the, I might win.
Right, okay. So does anybody who's watching, for those millions that are, if you feel like you have a habit or an addiction that you'd like to ask a question about, maybe it's not something that you personally are dealing with, but want a question about, we'll discuss it. So feel free to put it in the comments, like you say with Vanessa there with her coffee. And, if you don't find it as something troubling your life, then you probably don't realise that it's an addiction in any way, shape or form.
No.
But like you say with the gambling sort of thing, you're introduced, I was introduced to gambling at a very young age, probably the same age as my son at 2, and not even realising it, because it used to be like going down the seafront, we'll go on the 2p machine.
Yeah.
We all loved to go on the 2 machine. Why? Because you feel like you might get that little toy car or that little thing that, that's why you're pushing it. You're gambling, you're throwing money in a machine to get something like that, and you don't realise that it's you're teaching your kids or even yourself that you have to put something in to get something out, but it's a risk, and you like the risk that it may or may not happen. So it's a very big weird one to to think about and like put a nail on the head. How many things do we do that?
Oh, nearly everything. There's very few behaviours that aren't learnt from someone somewhere.
Yeah, I think, well, like you say, it's all repetitive, and it's what we see other people do. Going on to that, if you saw a load of people standing outside the shop lining up, you'd probably want to know why they're all lining up and maybe join the queue.
FOMO.
So it's a fear of missing out. So the same again, we're going off topic with the habits and addiction, but the habit is, it can be good or it can be bad. Like you say, smoking is a habit, but it's an addiction, so it crosses the two barriers.
Although some people would argue that chemical addiction for smoking is not there. That's
so they say that you can take it or leave it. So what is it?
So there is a train of thought that some hypnotherapists especially subscribe to. That is that smoking is just a habit. It's not an addiction.
Okay.
Nicotine is not addictive.
Yeah, because many moons ago I was introduced to this elastic band routine around your wrist. It was a case of when you feel like you need something, pull the elastic band, give yourself a small bit of pain, and then you'll then eventually, like a trained monkey in a cage, realise that when you have that bad or that thought, you're associating it with something bad.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I recommend like doing anything really, really harmful, like maybe tasering yourself or something, to the extremes. But the elastic band thing is, again, my friend gave up smoking doing that. Another friend had gone to a hypnotist, used to smoke 60 fags a day, came out, threw the bags in the bin, and hasn't gone back since.
Yeah.
So everybody deals with like these things, and when they open their eyes and go, I've realised there's an addiction or there's a habit there that I don't want.
Yeah. And that's the hardest bit.
Well, here's a habit for you. Again, every time I buy a car, I'm always looking at the next car I'm going to buy. I'm always still shopping and shopping. So I probably have my cars for maybe 18 months before I go and get another one, because it's a habit. I always want something better, and it's a habit of going, well, I've got something, but I want something better. So it may be an addiction that I need to always upgrade myself.
Yeah, it's sort of a consumerism, isn't it? That one.
It's where they get you. It's where they want you.
That is where they want you.
It's exactly where they want you.
Yeah.
But don't do it. The cars on the market are horrible.
Well, all of them.
All of them. Absolutely all of them. Because I've been looking. There's none up to spec. Okay, like you say, an addiction, you get like an adrenaline junkie would say that's an addiction to having to jump out of an aeroplane on the weekend, to get your fix.
Yeah.
And that's an addiction. I ride a motorbike. I'm not addicted to riding my motorbike. you know, at certain speeds to get a certain thrill or anything like that. I'll just ride my motorbike with my friends, and some of them may be watching, just because I enjoy doing that. But there are extremes to everything you talk about. Somebody goes, oh, you know, I really like a certain branded cream cake from a certain GRG restaurant or something in town, you know, where they serve really good sausage rolls. I go, oh, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to go and get that chocolate cheesecake. Now that's...
I see, that was a specific cream cake before. You really let the cat out of the bag here.
But what I'm saying is, you go, right, I like that cream cake, but then somebody could be addicted and go, well, I've got to eat 4 of those a day. There's a difference to going, oh, you know, I like that. Now you've seen people on, I would say on Channel 4, which is Channel 4 and ITV, the worst TV programs, because they really like to make people look bad.
Yeah, they
isn't
do.
it? When you see the people that are like really fat and obese and they sit on the couch, and I saw an advert for someone that used to call their son in to bring them 10 bags of discos, and she'd sit there and eat them, and obviously...
And discos aren't even the best crisps.
No. Well, we're going to have a crisp debate now. What's the best one? I like my son's Pumbes, because I feel like I'm dieting when I'm eating there, because they're nothing but air.
Oh, okay. So, they're a bit quavery.
Yeah. I mean, can you buy the purple knickknacks just as they are? Because they're pretty good.
Ooh, don't know.
They're the rib ones, aren't they? What do you mean you don't know? I'm sorry if we're going off topic.
Orange knickknacks.
If anybody's still paying attention to what we're saying and hasn't just left us on the side in the corner to make us feel good, we're asking you to put in the comments your favourite crisp. You can put brand and stuff. We're not sponsored. It's fine. Although we do want to walk with brand, don't we?
Oh yeah, we should get some.
We've done this last time. We need branding. We lose Pizza Hut, wasn't it?
Sponsorship. Yeah.
They haven't got back to us. I think that they don't feel like they can feed our demand.
They're probably
which is fine. Is it an addiction or a habit for having 2 for Tuesdays from Domino's? Because it's an advert. You know, I know people that deliberately on Tuesday get 2 for Tuesdays now from Domino's because they feel like they're getting a bargain or a deal. But now it's an addiction that Tuesday night is pizza night. Does that come under anything? Is that a habit or an addiction?
Is it compulsive? Is it causing them a problem?
Probably financially.
Possibly.
Because again, because obviously when you go into addictions and stuff like that, there's the behind the scenes, which is normally financial.
Often, that's the financial side of it is usually more of a consequence of the addiction. You're spending more money than you can afford to feed your addiction, whatever that is, whether that's cocaine, alcohol, Pizza Hut. So yeah, it can be financial knockoffs, but consequences. But there can also be consequences in your relationships, in your health. So if the 2 for Tuesdays are causing them a massive health problem, as well as a financial problem, Domino's isn't cheap even 2 for Tuesdays. No. Then yeah, it's probably something that they do need to look at. But it's one of those things. If it's causing you a problem, it's a problem, and if it isn't causing you a problem,
all right. So I'm guessing the big question is, obviously, from somebody in your line of work, would be a case of, if I felt like I had a habit or an addiction that may be detrimental to my health, financially, physically, mentally, what would your recommendation be?
It's definitely something that needs... So if you've got to the point of asking for help, like you've done the biggest thing that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you've acknowledged that you've got a problem, which is one of the hardest parts of addiction.
Yeah.
You've not only acknowledged it to yourself, you've said it out loud to somebody else. I've got a problem. I can't control it on my own, and I need help.
Yeah.
And more than I need help, I am actively getting some help. And it's hard to say what you would do after that, because it would vary massively from person to person and situation to situation. But if once you've said, I have a problem and I can't deal with it on my own, I need some help, then you've really done a massive step.
So owning up, so what you're saying is, okay, so if I noticed a friend or a family member or somebody that I worked with, a co-worker, that I felt like I had an addiction, obviously some people would say that's not your place to say, isn't it? But this is the awkward one, because like you say, with the energy drinks and stuff like that with people at work, I've openly said it jokingly, just saying, one day they'll kill you. you know. And I've been in a position with one of my very close friends where we were in hospital all through the night because he genuinely couldn't go to the toilet because his kidneys had given up because of the caffeine and the energy drinks and everything like that. And until you see it, it's a shock to your system that now you'll see that I don't deliberately go out and buy energy drinks now. I stay clear of picking them up. I don't even get them when I'm going on long journeys to see family. You know, okay, I will get fizzy drinks of some way, shape, or form. Maybe get like a Lucozade or a Coke. We're not sponsored, we don't care now. You know, a can of something. But I won't go out on my way and go, right, I'm going to get a can of Monster or Red Bull or any sort of energy drink like that. Because mentally, I'm just thinking, I have seen what it's done to somebody who went through 8 cans of Red Bull on a daily basis for an 8-month period, who thought it was just the norm to drink it because it tasted good, which you will do. It's full of sugar and caffeine and everything else is probably in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you say, I was just like, well, you know. So nobody pointed that out to him at the time, you know, that it was going to be detrimental to his health. So yeah, it's one of those awkward situations. Like where do you step in, or you know, if it's somebody that you're really close with and you feel like the conversation would go down more of as a funny, and somebody taking it too seriously, then definitely break it up because it may hit home after the conversation, maybe an hour or two later. So it might be worth having.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? If
like
somebody just
the
goes,
conversation's different though, isn't it? So there's a conversation where you're saying to somebody, "Oh, that's really bad for your health. It does X, Y, and Z," and it's sort of an, albeit quite low key, but an educational conversation.
yeah,
I've had this experience, is very different to, "You shouldn't drink that. I think that you should stop."
yeah,
And because they won't.
no.
That's the problem, that they have to want to stop for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Well, all we can say on that is that, you know, it's your own responsibility as an adult and a human being to try and spot and trigger when you're having issues with addiction, rather than habit, and deterring which is which. You know, a habit of waking up in the morning and always putting in having the same cup of coffee, but if you didn't do it for 2 days in a row, would it ruin your life? No. But if you didn't have your coffee and you felt like that was going to be the end of the world, you're probably addicted to it. Yeah. So there's, you know, an hour about sitting down in your life decisions and going, right, do I always need to always eat a chocolate bar every single day?
Yeah.
You know, is it an addiction or is it just a habit, you know, that you've always done, you know, when you used to have chocolate bars or something in your packed lunch? Is it just something that you've gone, well, I always go to work and put chocolate in there because I've always had a chocolate in my lunch?
Yeah. But you know, it's good for you. It's good for your mental ability as well to mix things up. To the extent of, I mean, I bet when you get dressed in the morning, you get dressed in the same order. You put the same leg in your trousers first.
Yeah.
But you really sort of wake your brain up by doing things differently. So when you get dressed tomorrow morning, try putting the other leg in first.
Oh God, I'd face plant into the wall. I'd go.
It's going to feel completely bizarre, but you're giving your brain something to think about.
Yeah, so break the habit. So tomorrow, go to somebody else's place of work and clock in and just see what happens. Break the habit.
Just don't go to work.
No, don't. I was making a funny. You're just like, just don't go.
Just don't
Have a day off. Could you imagine if you just took going to town?
Unless you're really bad at going to work and you call in sick all the time, in which case go to work.
Break the habit. Go to work. Oh my days.
But do you know what? There are some habits and addictions that we that society praises, and workaholism is one of them.
Yeah.
So people that are completely addicted to their work.
Yeah.
And 100% committed to it and put that above everything else are praised. And it's not necessarily healthy.
It's not. And, well, like you say, even though we're having slightly nice weather at this precise moment in time, remember, don't wait for certain weeks of the year and certain times to have holiday. If you're feeling that it's bubbling up, don't wait 2 months to get to your normal holiday or normal time off. If you've got holiday to use, book yourself a day.
Yeah.
Book yourself a me day, even if it's just a random Wednesday that you go, oh, next Wednesday I'm having it off for no good reason other than I might have a next Wednesday off. I'm going to sit on the couch in my duvet, eat chocolate and just have a me day. Could recharge your batteries without even you knowing, because it's the anxiety. How many people live with anxiety to know that they have to go to bed at 9 or 9:30 every single night because their routine depends on it.
Yeah.
You know, that they go, if I don't go to bed at 9:30, even though...
Although, can I just say, in terms of sleeping well, having a set bedtime is a good idea.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying, but
Ish.
I'm saying, you know, how often do you break that? Monday to Friday, people will go, I go to bed at 9, half 9, and then Friday I'll stay up until 1 o'clock in the morning. And
Terrible
I'll
for your
binge.
circadian rhythms.
No, it is. But I will stay up on a Friday night and I'll watch TV or sports or whatever, and I'll, you know, because I pay for sports, I'll watch like Lithuanian water polo and whatever it may be.
All
just
the sport.
any sport, because I pay for it, but I will stay up until stupid o'clock at night watching it. But that's my break from my rhythm of the week. I go, well, that's my enjoyment period.
Yeah.
You know, although you get it for 2 days and then Sunday you've got to get back to that routine. So, yes, you know, if you feel like something's bubbling up, this is the mental health side now that we're touching on. If you feel like something's bubbling up at work or in your life, then maybe just hit the pause button and take a day off.
Yeah. Take a day off. If you need a week off, take a week off.
Take a week off.
I mean, responsibly and
yeah,
following correct protocols with your employer.
Yeah,
obviously.
if you're watching us now on your work break, don't just walk out.
No.
You know, tell somebody.
Tell someone you're going.
You know, fire safety.
Yeah.
Because I know people could drop tools to watch this show.
I think they probably do.
I can see why.
Work canteens everywhere.
Work canteens. And the masses. Well, Caroline, thank you very much for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
You've come to my humble abode. You've
I
seen
know.
the damage that my really bad technology happens to do when I'm not in my normal studio space upstairs, which is effortless.
Yeah.
That's
what happens when you go on location.
I've travelled 5.5 meters from location to on the scene in my back garden, and it all went to pot. So
never mind. Trust the iPad. I mean, Steve Jobs would never let you down.
The iPad did work. Again, if you work for Apple, any sponsorship is appreciated. We do like it. Well, all right, but it's expensive. You can sign it on.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, really.
It's for financials. We want an Apple sponsorship. We can sign it on. Get on board here, Caroline.
Okay, sorry.
Be part of the Apple team.
Not selling my soul. No way.
We've got a live show next Saturday. We're going to be with the Cult Cinema Club from the Harrowby Theatre next Saturday. And then after that, we've got more and more interviews as well being booked in that we're confirming dates for. So we are still here. We are still going to be live. The days and times and everything may still change because we're getting all a bit flimsy-whimsy just to entertain you with random different things, because people are going back to work, people are socialising on the weekends, people are doing things. So what we're doing now is we're doing the same sort of thing. We're entertaining those small gaps in the day that you may be free so we can offer you entertainment. So we'll see how it all pans out and goes. But if you haven't already, make sure you go over to Caroline Pett's Facebook page, Instagram that she doesn't know she's got. She doesn't know the handle for her own Instagram. So it's just Pett Caroline, at Pett Caroline. Simple as that. It's backwards.
I don't know who made that.
I don't know. Must have been you. Do you know what? It's probably a generic one that Facebook made up because they joined together so everybody got an Instagram. It was generically made. So yeah, it may be the same as your Facebook handle.
Yeah,
you don't realise your private one.
At Kaz Pett Coach is the or it might be Caroline Pett Coach. It's
Search.
Business one. Just see, it Caroline Pett.
If you see her face, then it's probably the right one.
Yeah.
If it's somebody doing something that's not related to what she's doing, then it's probably not. Probably not. But you might have a side business that we don't know about.
No, I do not.
No, okay, no worries. We're going to sit here now and enjoy the sun and contemplate how really, really well this show went. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, remember that if you watch your mental health, check up on yourself as well as others. Take the time to take time, as they say. And we'll see you again next time on Chaturday Live. Thanks very much for me and Caroline. We'll see you soon. Ciao.